Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's October 31st. This will be wrap up our final day of the month of October, and the month seemed like I just said that for September. So the months are just flicking by. This year's almost over, and next thing you know, it'll be 2017 again. But anyway, fairly decent trading day today. In the end, this is really just a range day. We found support down here at 2120, and we couldn't work through that. We had a downward bias really. Uh, there's a larger two-tiered, the brown channel, kind of reddish brown. Um, it really didn't help you until right in here, but even then you could have found this without the channel. It wouldn't have really helped you down here. Really, this blue one was the one I was looking at early on. It's two-tiered working down. We got a close outside right here, then we reversed, made a new low, and then we just kind of went sideways, but we tried to, started correcting and trying to bounce out of there. So we never could even get back up to the brown line by the close of the day, though. So um, anyway, I would call this a range day, but it really had a downward bias. We spent really the whole day working down, except for this correction, um, where we bounced off the low until we found resistance, and then we made another leg down. And if you measure this leg here and then drag it over, we had a perfect measured move. I mean, it's really to the tick. You would have wanted to measure the whole thing here too, just in case it went lower. You would have looked for that. Um, if we had kept going lower, I would have looked for that for a target. But this was really your last big leg down right here. If you measure that and move it over, this move to a new low was a perfect measured move. I mean, to the tick. So doesn't get any better than that. But you can see it's mostly all downhill. There's a couple of green longs here, but mostly all downhill, mostly all shorts today. There's one right here that you might have considered too. But let me back out and we'll go through the trades and we'll wrap it up for today. But you can see when I came in, even though this is downhill here, when I came in, you can see we had this more of an upward bias here. You're still looking at this trend line coming up, and that's the first close there. So we're looking to go long. Notice the little correction here coming down, a break, a new low, and then it reversed. You might have considered going long here, but it's not that far away from the EMA. And notice how it pushes through, pulls back, gives you a higher low and a nice reversal bar. So I really thought we'd push on higher from there. It was an easy scalp, but you just didn't get anything more than that, and then it turns down. There's a double top right here. I don't have my line on there, but you can see that. There's resistance across there, and it was from earlier there. That's like a little failed break on up there. And so when it turns down here that far away from the EMA, that big a bearish bar, you have to really be on your P's and Q's if you're already long here. If you weren't long, this one's pretty easy to see and take, and that turns out to be a great trade. It might have been a little difficult to get into because it moved pretty quickly, but if you put your limit order in there, it would have come back and filled you before going lower. So you could have got in that one, and you would have had a runner here, and you ride this. I mean, if you caught that, you really could have ridden this all the way down to the previous lows here. But anyway, that's a pretty good trade. There's a second entry short. Notice we make a new low, and then we get two legs back, and there's a second entry short right there, and there's your lower trend channel line is running right down through there. So we just came off that. So the odds are we might go back to the high, but the big issue is that bar is too bullish, and by the time this one sets up, you're too close to the low. So there's no trade there. But when we come back and we double test this level here, there it is again, and it went higher and then turned and went down. Look how bearish that is. You really could have gone short one tick below that, but I would have dropped my stop right there as soon as that bar completed. And that's really bearish, and it's a double test of that level. Turns out to be a pretty good trade. Then of course we bounce. You can see that trend line working right up through there. And this looks almost identical to this right here. You close outside, come back and you test. You really don't even get back to the trend line. I may not quite have my trend line steep enough. You could adjust this a little and make it fit. I may have it too steep. But anyway, I'm not going to adjust it. I still like it where I had it. But we don't quite get back to the trend line there. But I think that's okay because it's a lower high than this double top. And it is a second entry short. It's not the most perfect signal bar. So I might let it drop lower and then put a limit order a tick or so back just to get a little better entry. But it didn't matter. The bottom just fell out of it. And then we bounce again. We got a little channel working up here. We get a big overshoot and it turns down right at the trend line again. Again, that's a second entry short. Notice the low. First entry, pull back second entry. And look how far away we are from the EMA. But the main thing is the key entry point right there. And it's a big overshoot. So I like going short there. And you could treat this like a failed second entry short here. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry, and it turns up. But that's the first break of this trend line too. So we're probably going to come back and at least test the trend line again. And who knows, we may get a break here, which it does turn out we get a break. So I'm not crazy about going long there, but there's reasons to consider it as, going long there. So I did mark it green, but I'm not crazy about it. It turned out to be a really nice trade, but I think you're better off just watching this one. And then, of course, now we make a double top. This is another second entry long. I would have drawn, as soon as this set up, I would have drawn my trend line from the high to here to see what happens if it comes back. And it does come back and it turns down right there. It closes inside, turns down. And notice the new low, first entry, second entry. So that's a second entry short. It went higher and then went out the other side. So again, you could have had your stop right below this bar, but if you wanted to wait on this one, it's a pretty big bar then, so you might let it break lower and use a limit order. But you got to be careful with that because you might miss some good trades, especially off a key entry point. Turns out to be another nice trade. Then it pulls back, gives you another second entry short right off that trend line again. Notice the new low. You're coming back first entry, second entry, fairly bearish bar. Just go short there. It takes a minute to work down. Then it comes back and it tests it again. Go short there. And it comes back one more time and gives you another big bearish bar. This would really be where your stop would have to go above here. But that's too bullish to go short below. So you might consider this one. But again, I'd let it break lower and use a limit order. But you couldn't have got more than about 2 or 3 ticks back in it and got filled before it went lower. So that might have been a little difficult to get in as well. And that pushed you down till you got some support. And notice how many times we bounced once, twice, 3 times, and then you get a little failed break lower. So you want proof that this is holding. And really, right there's not a whole lot of proof. You could say, yeah, we bounced there, but it could turn and push through. But then it bounces again. It would have been tempting to go long there, but when that one closed inside and didn't push up, I said, no, I'm going to wait. And sure enough, you actually get the break lower here, and look at that big reversal type bar. It was trading way down here. It opened right here and traded way down here and then closes way up here. It takes a lot of buying to do that. And it's real close to the cutoff of the end of the day, but now you got your new low in place. You got that reversal. You got a failed break lower below those 3 touches across there. So I like risking it there. And that would have been an easy scalp there. And you might have exited when you got over here near the trend channel, or the trend line rather. But you can see they're all mostly downhill. And this is a pretty straightforward day. You got your move down, your break outside your blue one, and then a move to a new low, and it actually came back, and then even on this one, you got your break and a retest attempt before it bounced. And now you can see we're trying to head higher again. So it worked out really nice, fairly straightforward. See if there's anything else. But in the end, I think this is just a range day. But the bias was down within the range. Notice we can never get back to the highs again. So it just has a downward bias. And notice where all the sales were really the key entry points. And if you just waited on prices to come back to those, you did pretty good. So, yeah, not much else we can say about today. So I guess I'm going to wrap it up for the day. We'll of course, be back again to do it tomorrow. Hope you had a great trading day. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.